Hari Om. Chinatown, Singapore. Everyone's impression of Singapore is that of a very modern town, all spick and span with every tree and plant in their correct places and filled with flowers and so on. Of course, this is true of most parts of the city, but there is one part still left which defies modernization and which has all the quaint little eating shops and Chinese vendors which waft you back to at least 50 years. This is Chinatown, and this is a must visit for anyone who wants to have some idea of what Singapore looked like in the past. I always make it a point to visit this part of the town, not only for the pleasure of being wafted into the past, but also because at the very end of the road there's a Mariamman temple, which again is the oldest in Singapore and was made by the Chettiar community, who were one of the first Indians to have migrated to Singapore. The temple has not been modernized like many other temples. It still has granite flooring and all the ancient carvings and picturesque figures of various murtis. Of course, the central figure is Mariamman herself. As you enter the temple, you feel her powerful vibrations. One has to sit there for a while in order to soak in the ambience. There is no one to beat the Tamil priests in the art of temple decorations. She is adorned with the most beautiful saris and ornaments that are changed after every puja. It was only after getting her blessings and permission that I went out into the street to be met with a totally different type of civilization. The Chinese have their own unique methods of decorating their shops. Banners are hung at frequent intervals, and what really charmed me was the unique street art which covered almost a whole wall of the street. This depicted the street as it must have looked about 80 years ago, and it was so realistic that one almost felt a part of it. Both the ambience and the odors were quite different from the temple, which I had just left. The temple smelled of incense and sandalwood and so on. Here it was a smell of something called the pandan leaf, and of course the smell of fish and other sauces that are used in Chinese cooking. Of course, you went near a Buddhist temple. There was a perfume of incense, which again was totally different from the Indian type. I don't think Singaporeans like to cook in their own houses. Someone told me that it was much cheaper to eat out. Any time you enter into one of these eateries, you will find people sitting and eating and chatting. Many people who live on the streets stay in shop houses. These are apartments that are built above restaurants. People living there have a delightful habit of dropping baskets down with money in it. The hawker or restaurant keeper will fill the basket with whatever dish they ask for, and then the basket is drawn up again. This is quite a fascinating scene, but is becoming very rare now. It was almost most common in olden times. After the eateries, we come into the shopping area, filled with all sorts of Chinese goods. Of course, here it is much cheaper than in the Orchard Road malls. You can spend hours hopping from one shop to another and buying things that appear so very cheap. So next time you happen to come to Singapore, don't forget to make a trip to Chinatown. Hari Om.